Hey everyone, I'm Trudy, One Grounded Angel. This is the weekly angel card reading video for the week beginning April the 9th through to the 15th, 2018. So this week we have, towards the end of the week, on Sunday, the Aries new moon coming through. So if you think about in ancient times when people would have their harvest, they would sow the seeds on the new moon and harvest on the full moon. So that's why the new moon is always about sowing seeds, starting something new, thinking about what we want to be creating. And the full moon is about pulling out what we've harvested and getting rid of that which is not serving us. So that's why a lot of astrologers talk about the full moon as being time for release, although there is some sort of, I guess, argument there. Not everyone believes it's about release. So that's what I go with. That feels right to me. So you've always got to trust your intuition on all this stuff. So I'm shuffling the cards now for Monday the 9th of April. And we'll see what messages the angels have to help us deal with what's coming up for us. On Monday, new partner. Okay, this is not necessarily romantic, okay, but for some of you it will be. So partnership is platonic and romantic relationships. It's about people that help us. So if you're an Aquarius or you have the energy of Aquarius somewhere in your chart particularly strong, you will be someone who serves or suits collaboration, basically, or a collab, as the young people call it. So, you know, we can't do things on our own. We have this delusion that we are capable, we have everything we need, but no man or no woman is an island. So we need to be able to work with other people. And for many of you, this will be telling you that someone's going to come into your life that will either give you a piece of information that's going to unlock some sort of puzzle you've been facing, or is going to say something that guides you to maybe enroll in a particular course, or to try a particular healing modality, or it could be anything. So it might be someone just giving you one simple thing that sets you on your way. They might not even know they've done that, because remember, the universe does work for other people. Or it might be someone coming through to form a sort of partnership, like maybe the two of you form some sort of business, or you work together. Perhaps you get some sort of arrangement. They give you a skill, you give them one. Like, you know, for me, I've got someone or a few people where we do a skills exchange every now and then, where I might do proofreading or some copywriting for them, or even some Reiki, and they'll do something for me, like help me with my accounts or something like that. So it could be that sort of way. But for some of you it will be romantic, so this will be music to your ears if you're single and you're really working hard to manifest a partner. Remember, with relationships, we do have this kind of delusion that it's just going to turn up. And look, to some extent that is true. I really don't personally believe that love is something you find. I think it finds you when the time is right, but you have to have been working on yourself to get to that point. So because we believe, you know, that movie Jerry Maguire, Renee Zellweger, Tom Cruise, where he says, "You complete me," I really think it's scrambled so many of us, because we do have this idea that another person can complete us, and that's such a fallacy. If you were looking for someone else to provide what's missing in your life, that's going to go badly for you, because you'll continue to attract the person who mirrors you, and that will be deficient in some way. Or perhaps if you've got some self-worth issues, they will come through and also treat you badly because you believe that's what you deserve. So we've always got to be thinking about what we're doing, what our part is, and not be, when it comes to relationships, not be kind of leaving it up to the universe or leaving it up to someone else to bring through what is missing or lacking. And there's always something missing in our lives. We've all got growth work to do, and people in relationships will know there's still a lot of work to do within that. It's not meeting someone that's the hard part. It's kind of helping that relationship continue to grow, and the best way we do that is by working on ourselves. When we make changes in our lives, it changes the energy around us and has an impact on every single relationship in your life. And sometimes that does mean some of them fall away. I know for me personally, a lot of friendships have fallen away when I started doing spiritual work, because I just was no longer in alignment with where those people were at. And that can be painful sometimes, but it's usually for the greater good. So, you know, I've gone off track. There's a surprise. But anyway, this is emphasizing for you that someone new is coming into your life. Might not be on Monday, but it's asking you to be open to that. So if you're someone who typically refuses help, maybe you've got some issues around receiving, or you're someone who has got some pride issues, thinks you need to do it all on your own, that might be what you need to be thinking about, so that you can actually allow space for that person to come through and help you. they are saying also it could be someone from the other side. So if you've got a loved one who's passed over, it could be that they are sending you something. So it might not be a physical person, but again, that could manifest via someone else. Now, cut your cords. I just talked about this actually in regards to toxic friendships, and you know, it doesn't have to be a relationship with someone. It could be cutting your cords with something that you're doing that's no longer serving you, perhaps a behaviour. Anything from smoking to, well, it's hard to imagine that ever really served you, although we often delude ourselves that it's helping us feel more comfortable or more relaxed. There are all sorts of things that we do. Thanks, Gary. There are all sorts of, maybe that's drawing someone's attention to this, you need to hear it. There are all sorts of things that we do that we delude ourselves are helping us, but are actually sabotaging us. So, gosh, that's a whole tangent. I could really go down the rabbit warren with that one, but it's really asking you, usually this will be the first thing that comes into your mind when you think about release, possibly because your intuition has already been giving you cues about this. What is it that you need to let go of? And you can ask Archangel Michael, who's depicted on this card, to help you with that. So, and be aware of when your ego is offering you resistance to that. Oh no, but I need that because, oh, but I've always done that. So, yeah, it's sometimes, as I mentioned, the things that we think are helping us are actually not. Oh, beautiful cards. As I mentioned last week, the illustrations on this card are just spectacular. This one is Happy Happy, and it's asking us to really turn our mindsets to gratitude and gratefulness, pretty much the same thing. Gratitude and happiness. Now, it is a delusion to think that it's possible to be happy all the time. I know, you know, in the States, the pursuit of happiness is enshrined in your, I don't know, your Declaration of Independence, whatever. I'm not familiar with American history, I apologise, but I know it is enshrined in part of your values as a country. So very many people are totally focused on happiness. That's why there's an entire section at your local bookstore devoted to the pursuit of happiness. But we need to remember that happiness is just one emotion. There are a whole spectrum of emotions, and it's not possible to live in just one emotion. Our emotions are designed to flow. We want to make sure we don't get stuck in an emotion. They need to flow. So when we get stuck, that's when things start to compound and we can really go down into those depths. So, and that's why aiming to be happy all the time is not helpful and not realistic. So it's not asking you to be happy at the expense of all other things, but it is reminding you that if you are struggling at the moment and you're going through challenges, there are still more things that are good in your life than there are bad. So turning your mindset to gratefulness for what is working can really help. I know I've used this example before, but Louise Hay talks about when she pays her bill, she isn't resentful that she's losing money, just kidding universe, to that. She is grateful that she has the money to pay that, and a lot of people don't. So try to switch your mindset to that, because what you focus on, you attract. If you focus on, I don't have enough and now I'm losing something, you're going to attract more of that loss or that deficit. So really this is asking you to switch your mindset into looking at the positive. It doesn't mean pretending you're happy if you're not. That's just not realistic, and that can do more harm than good. It's really just looking at, well, okay, things are a bit crappy, but what is good and what can I spend a moment being happy for? And that can really change your mindset. This is why the gratitude movement, if I can call it that, has really exploded. It's not because they're asking you to be grateful and ignore everything that's not working, but it's just because of that law of attraction stuff, that's switching your mindset to be more grateful than you are worried, or that you are lacking, can really help sort of shift that energetic movement of attraction, if that makes sense. Thursday, one's jumped out. Woo, big message here. It's from the other side. How interesting that I kind of mentioned that earlier. It was new partner, I think. I mentioned people from the other side. Now, often people talk about when their loved ones have passed on, those people are now angels in their lives. Now, I don't want to disavow anyone of that notion, because if that brings you comfort, then that's totally okay. But from my learning, I've come to understand that angels are in a different realm to people who have passed on. And that's because angels usually have not been in physical incarnations. So what I'm talking about when I mention people who've passed on, I'm talking about spirits. So for those of you who have been sensing one of your loved ones around you, this is confirming that that's accurate. Remember, your relationship with someone doesn't stop when they pass on. It's ongoing. So keep talking to them if that is comforting and helpful to you. It doesn't mean you're getting stuck in the past. It just means you're shifting your relationship into a new realm. So you are continuing to acknowledge that they're there, but you're not kind of getting stuck in that. Of course, you're still going to miss them, but you're not getting stuck in that sense of loss, I guess, that's so pervasive. Which of course will continue, but you don't want that to be your overwhelming sensation when it comes to thinking about that person. You want to be able to celebrate what they brought to your life as well, and to be able to remember that that connection is still there. So asking them for help, asking them to give you a sign. A lot of people talk about smell when it comes to sensing people from the other side. Often when people ask me about people who've passed on, and I don't get this very often because it's just not an area that I work in, everybody has the ability to sense people from the other side, but not everybody wants to. And for me personally, I just don't connect with that realm very well. So when I get questions like this, I'm careful to remind people that it's not a strength of mine because I haven't developed it. It's not because I don't want to. It's like any muscle, you know, when I talk about your intuition, it's something you need to work at. But what I do say is that if there is someone who wants to reach them, they will communicate via the angels. And the reason that people are concerned is because primarily they feel that they have, the person is upset with them, or that they didn't kind of resolve things before that person passed on. Maybe there was a fight or something, or they're worried about that person, their welfare, I guess, if I could put it like that. And this card really reassures you that that person is okay. When someone passes on, they no longer have the burden of, oh, I shouldn't have said this, or I did this, and that kind of stuff gets lifted. And I know, look, I'm not an expert on this sort of thing. No one really is, because, you know, we don't get to find out till we pass on ourselves. But my understanding and what resonates with me is that when someone passes on and leaves their earthly body, they don't have those sort of concerns of, this person did me wrong, or I should have said this, or anything like that. So it's reassuring you that there is peace now within your relationship, and you can kind of move that on by asking that person for help, saying hello, thanking them, all that sort of thing. Now, if you want to explore this a little bit, Dr. Brian Weiss, who is one of the foremost experts on past life regressions, his New York Times best-selling book, Many Lives, Many Masters, delves into this quite a bit. It's about people's past lives, but it does talk a lot about what happens when you pass over. You might not necessarily resonate with what he's come to understand from talking to people, but it might provoke some questions in your mind, or help give you some resolution or pointers of where you can go next, if that is something you are interested in. But it's a very reassuring message, and it certainly, because I got that message earlier when I was discussing this card, it certainly is, I feel like it's something that someone watching this needs to hear, if not a lot of you. So I know, very, very difficult message for a lot of you. There's so much that happens when you lose someone, particularly if the circumstances were particularly tragic. Of course, there's always a tragedy when you lose someone, but when it's someone young, for example, I know that can be really difficult to reconcile and move on. I'm getting the message this card is not right. I'm moving on to pick up this one that I had earmarked for Saturday, but computer says no. Oh. Okay, the situation is already resolved. I love this because there's such a reassuring energy with it, as there is with so many of these cards, and it's letting you know that whatever it is you're worried about, if you have asked for help, the universe is already working on it. In fact, the universe starts working on it before you even ask. However, as I've mentioned, your angels do need your permission to intervene. So if you feel like you're not getting that resolution, or you're not seeing it yet, there are several things going on. One, the timing might not be right. Maybe the universe is rearranging things behind the scenes that you can't see yet. So have some confidence that things are going on that you can only ever see this much of, and there's a big picture. at play. The other thing is maybe you didn't ask for help and maybe they need you to do that. So try asking for help. Don't shoulder the burden yourself. It doesn't help at all, because the universe hasn't got space to kind of intervene and help you. It can't violate your free will. You are in charge of your life. You want help, you've got to give them permission. The other thing is that maybe you are holding on too tightly to your ideas of how that outcome should look. So when we ask for help and we're turning something over to the universe, bear in mind that help's not going to show up maybe how you expect it. For example, we often expect a magic bullet. Like, it's a bit like, you know, I talked with regard to this card here about someone showing up on your doorstep. If you feel like something's missing in your life, oh, I just get a new relationship and everything will be okay. No, that's not really how it's going to look. So if you've asked for a partner, for example, and you feel like you're still not attracting anyone, maybe that's because the universe is waiting for you to develop yourself so that you can vibrate at that higher level and really attract someone of that high caliber that you deserve. So it may be that you there's an expectation that, or a need for you to do some more self-development to get to that point. So really take an honest look at yourself. If you are expecting the answer just to turn up, you know, on your doorstep, maybe you have a think about what part do I need to play here, particularly going back to those relationship kind of issues. If you keep attracting the same sort of person, or your exes are all the same type of people, that's giving you a clue that there's something to resolve, because nothing goes away until it teaches you what you need to know. So there is a lesson there for you that you're not dealing with, or you're not coming to terms with, and until you learn that lesson, the universe's ability to give you what you need and what you deserve is going to be really inhibited. So as I've mentioned before, the universe responds to action. So really starting to develop your personal development, I guess, to put it like that. Where are your blocks? Where are your boundary issues? Where are you getting stuck? Work on yourself, because expecting someone else to turn up and be the solution to all your problems is a mistake. As anyone in a long-term relationship will tell you, that it's only when they meet the person they realise how much more work they've got to do. So no one can complete you. So Saturday, nurture. So the energy of nurturing is a primarily feminine energy. Remember that regardless of your biological gender, you or what gender you feel an affinity with, you have both masculine and feminine energies. So ideally you would have a balance of that, but that's not always the case. So the nurturing energy is that kind of mothering sort of energy. So for those of you who are mums, this is kind of giving you, I feel like it's kind of giving you a boost, or asking you to boost that kind of nurturing energy, to really step in, not intervene more in your kids' lives, but to really, firstly, they want to encourage you that you do have the ability to really help your kids, but be aware of how you're doing it. If you're trying to solve your kids' problems for them, for example, that's not really going to help them learn the lessons they need to learn. But it's empowering you, that's the word that's coming through, that you do have the ability to help your kids, or any kids in your life. Could be a niece or nephew, or some godchild, or some sort of relationship you post-bond you have there with a child, or it even could be an adult child, if that makes sense, one of your children that's grown up, or someone who's got some, maybe they've got some personal development to do regarding their inner child. If that makes sense. Some of the lessons that we learn in adulthood, we learn at different levels. So what else do I need to tell you about this card? For some of you, it's not relating to another person at all. It's regarding your own inner child. So your inner child, I know that sort of is one of those cliches that was bounced around. I know it was very popular in the 70s, and it could be a license for people to act with great immaturity, which is not always that helpful, but it's the positive side of immaturity. So having fun, doing things that are spontaneous and silly, and not being stuck in this kind of rigid routine kind of pattern you've got on. We're so in this masculine energy a lot of the time of go, 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 action, motivation, Mars energy, for those of you who are astrologers. We live so much in that, particularly in a work sense, that we forget to come back into the softer side and to, you know, have fun and be silly and let things flow a bit better, and to really foster our important relationships. They're really highlighting that. Foster our important relationships. So if you've been neglecting relationships, this is asking you to do a better job of coming into greater alignment with those relationships, and to remember that human beings are hardwired for connection. So no one's, as I mentioned, no one's an island. We need to be, I'm seeing connection with here again. We need to be able to lean on people, to let them lean on us in a healthy reciprocal way, not a codependency way. That's not good. And if that was one of your patterns in romantic relationships, maybe that's something that they're highlighting with you for a reason. Sunday, learning experience. I don't think I've seen this card for a very long time, but I'm very familiar with it because this particular card deck, Saints and Angels, was actually the first card deck I purchased about 8 years ago when I first became interested in this work. Well, I was interested in the work for myself, not for other people. That came much, much later. But I know this one here, I was struggling at the time, and this card kept coming up to remind me that everything is happening for my greater good. So when you're in struggle or things aren't working for you, don't say, why is this happening to me? It's a healthier way to frame it as, why is this happening for me? In other words, what is the lesson here? I'm not getting this, but I want it. So why is that? Is it because it's allowing me time to work on all this other stuff I need, so that I've got the confidence to deal with it and the maturity, or perhaps maturity is not the right word there, but I've got the foundation, it's a better word, or maybe it's about those of you who are stuck in the past, living on regrets. I should have gone out with that person, I should have tried harder in that relationship, I should have left that relationship earlier, whatever it is. This is reminding you that everything has happened when it needed to happen. So when you know better, you do better. That's Maya Angelou, great quote. So try to understand that you learn the lessons at the rate you need to learn them, and when you learn those, that's when you take the action. So for those of you who wish that you know, I often see in newspapers and magazines these columns where famous people are invited to, what would you tell your 16-year-old self? Write a letter to your past self or whatever. And honestly, if I ever had to write one of those, I would be stumped, because I see no point in going back to who I was, because I was doing the best I can with the information I had, and nothing could change that, because I can't go back now with what I know now, because it was those experiences that got me to this point to know that. And you can't look back and go, oh, well, I would never put up with that treatment now, because that's just, you needed to go for that crappy treatment to learn, oh, you've got some issues around self-worth, and here are some other lessons to help you with that, because the universe is always giving you things to help you, even when they are lessons disguised as unfortunate experiences. They are for your greater good. And so those lessons you've gone through, you've emerged, you are better because of it, and that is the foundation for you to grow even further and develop even more. So try not to frame things as they can still be, you can still consider them negative or unhelpful, but try to understand there was something greater at play that has helped you and been for your greater good. So, looking back at the week, I feel this energy around collaboration and working with other people is very strong. Letting people help you, and being willing to help other people. So, and that's that nurture card there. So what else have we got coming through here? We've got a bit of release and cutting cords. So it could be that we draw a connection between cutting the cords and release in this learning experience. So cutting those connections between regret or things that have happened to us in the past that we wish we'd done differently, or that we are still repeating from the past, particularly in relationship to relationships. So when I talked about patterns of attracting the same people constantly, or same archetype, yeah, I really feel that those are the predominant themes. So I will put these on my social media. If you want to reach out to me, you can do that best by emailing me, onegroundedangel@gmail.com. There is a bookings form on my website, that is www.onegroundedangel.com. Now, if you're wanting a personal reading, you can book that in via there, but I have a massive waiting list at the moment, which is a fantastic problem to have, because I can help so many people, but my time is very limited, because this is not the sort of work you can sit down and just hammer out 10 readings in one go. It can be quite draining. So the amount of time I can devote to these readings is very limited. That's why I have a waiting list. So if you do want a reading, absolutely make a booking, but please be aware I can't turn that around very quickly at the moment, just because I've had such a rush of demand as a result of a magazine article about me, which is just terrific. I'm really excited that so many people are responding to the work. So that's all I need to tell you for now. These will be on my social media. One Grounded Angel is my Instagram. Regarding Instagram, I don't respond to DMs. Please don't direct message me. I get too much spam, too many people trying to get a free reading, and just really inappropriate comments from men. So I just don't check it very often. And when I do, I will scan the first couple words and just decline it if I feel like you're not actually asking a genuine question, or someone that I feel connection with to help. Because yeah, you have to be, if you really want help, you have to be willing to honour my process and go through the correct channels, really. Otherwise it feels like you're not willing to sit and actually commit to what's going to come through. The main thing to remember about angel card readings is it's not a magic bullet. It's not going to just give you everything you need. It's going to tell you what you need to work on, and sometimes people are not willing to work on that stuff. They're not willing to change. They just want to feel good. So that can be really confronting for some people, and that's fine for me. My job is to put messages out. What you do with them is up to you. But it says to me, if you're not willing to honour my process, it says to me that you're maybe not in the right frame of mind to actually receive those messages in the first place, let alone make choices about what you do with them. And also my Facebook page is One Grounded Angel. Thank you so much for your time, for your love, for your support, and for bringing a positive energy to the world. You lift us all by doing that. So thank you so much. Have a great week.